Hi, Niilo. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. Home, taking it easy, making sure that my son is doing his homework and because he's not going to school. So that's my life in the quarantine.
Yeah, how has it been? How have you been keeping yourself busy during the lockdown? I noticed you were also doing some things with the fans and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think all of us in Insomnium, we've been trying to compose new music. Been doing that a lot, and there's some interesting stuff coming already. And also been planning some writing stuff as well, some stories that one day I might actually get finished. And after I had this reading session with the fans, I read Winterskate, I got even more inspired that, okay, actually I might want to try some writing again. Now that there's a chance that we'll have to be home, so it's probably the best chance ever to actually write something. So I've been actually quite busy. I have a lot of things to do.
You mentioned before that you're already starting to think about a new album and writing some music. How is that process going? I assume that you also can't really hang out together that much or write together. So is it more like an individual process?
Well, it's pretty much the same as every time. So all of us compose their new ideas home, make demos, and then we send it to others, and others will comment that, okay, the first part was good, second was shit, change it. And so it goes on and on. And then you might say, okay, I have a cool riff that might fit to your song and let's try this. So we have been used to working like this. We don't actually get together in a rehearsal place and then start composing. We do it much online, sending emails and files and demos and work like that. And then when we have quite a lot of stuff already almost ready, then we get together in a rehearsal place and kind of do the final arrangements there and play together. But usually we work like this. Everybody works home.
And last time when you were going to release Heart Like a Grave, you mentioned that it was based on Finnish melancholia, and it was like your kind of most melancholic album up to date. Do you think the pandemic will lead to an even more melancholic album, or can you feed off this inspiration somehow?
I don't know. I think the world right now sucks so much that I would rather write on something totally different, like just to escape to some other world. So I would rather write something like Winterskate Part 2 and get back to some historical time than to write about Corona times. This is not a good time.
Yeah, you guys also, you went on tour to the US, but the borders were shut down or something like that. Can you tell us what went down?
Yeah, well, when we left Finland, the situation didn't look so bad. But right when we landed in New York, we got immediately bad news. During our flight, this Corona situation had been declared a pandemic, and the situation in the USA was quickly getting worse. So everything happened really fast. Like more and more bad news kept coming. Of course, all the time we tried to plan that. How can we do this tour? Is it possible? Can we even get to Canada? And if we get to Canada, can we get back to USA? And will the shows even be possible? Are all the gigs cancelled because of these restrictions? And very quickly we had to make the decision that, okay, we have to go back home as soon as possible when there are still flights left and we can actually get out of the country. And we only played the one show in Philadelphia, and then the next show in New York, which was sold out. So we heard it was cancelled because of these restrictions. The situation in New York was quickly getting worse. So all these public events were banned. And that was kind of the final point that we realized that no matter how much we try, this is not going to work. We can't do this tour. We have to go home. So it really sucked a lot. You can imagine our frustration. But luckily we got home, and situation in Finland is pretty good. Has been pretty good, and it's in control here. So I think at the moment this is one of the best places in the world to be right now, and just wait and see what happens next.
Yeah, considering the situation is now so bad in New York, do you feel like it was the right decision to cancel the tour in the end? Well, if you wouldn't have to cancel it, would you have done it nonetheless?
Well, of course, it was all the shows would have been cancelled by the government, by the organizers. No matter what we would have wanted to do, it would have not been possible. And I think we would not been possible even to go to Canada. I think the fourth show would have been on Canada's side, and we would have been stuck at the border. So it would have been impossible. And it was the only possible choice to come home as quickly as possible.
So ever since, you also had a bit of a stroke of bad luck with the band. You had the crowdfunding campaign that you had to stop, and then you organized a streaming concert, and there were some technical issues. I noticed that you posted this emotional post after that stream that you were thinking about quitting music. I hope everything is back okay now with you.
Yes, well, there was a string of these events. First, the tour cancellation and the problems with the crowdfunding thing, and then problems with the stream. So at that point, I felt like nothing is gonna work. Like everything we try will fail miserably. But luckily, the feeling only lasted like some moments, and then we were back in the mood. Okay, let's try again. Let's make another stream. Be better prepared. We find a production team who has done this before many times, so we can be sure that it works. So we don't give up easily. Of course, you can momentarily have that feeling that, oh fuck, this is not gonna work. I will quit and find another job. But of course, here we are again. Try our best and really motivated to make new music and try to play to our fans, so don't worry.
Did you instantly after the last stream decide you were going to do the Winterskate album stream, or were there some days that went by and you were like, okay, let's try this again?
I think it took like a couple of weeks. Like everybody was so down that we didn't even want to talk about anything. But after a while, like we had a band Skype session and we talked about it. Okay, we should try something. Let's not give up. Let's try another stream. And then quite quickly we decided, okay, people have been asking to hear Winterskate, and people were proposing in Facebook and Instagram that could we do Winterskate stream. So it felt kind of the obvious choice. But what should we try next?
Is it because you haven't played the album since, the tour? Was it difficult to get back into the whole song and like have to play everything at once?
Yeah, that's why I've been playing and memorizing the lyrics every day now. And we'll continue to do it until Friday. So, but I'm sure we'll be ready. We'll play it as well as we did on the tour. But there's a lot of things to remember, a lot of lyrics to remember. And then we also decided that, okay, we're going to play some really, really old songs from our 3 first albums on top of that. So it makes it even more difficult. So there's even more stuff to remember, songs that we haven't played in a while, and a lot of lyrics to remember. So, but I've been rehearsing and trying to remember everything. So,
is it different for you to practice for a live stream concert than you would for a concert with a real audience there, or is it pretty much the same thing?
Well, if you just think about the performance, playing the songs and remembering the lyrics, well, it's the same. But of course, there are new kind of things that you have to think when you organize this kind of live stream thing, that how it works, how the broadcast works, what happens before the show, what will happen after it. And now we have this chat session after the show, that how will we organize all this. But luckily this production team, Keikala.fi, they've done it many times, and they think about all these things, that what will happen in the broadcast. Like, it starts half an hour before the show time, so what will happen there, and how do we move to the chat in the end, and that kind of stuff. So it's a new situation for everyone. How we'll make it a like interesting event for everyone, so that people enjoy watching the stream, and maybe they even want another stream later in the future. So it's a bit different, of course.
Do you guys enjoy these kinds of things? Because I can imagine that it must be very, very weird to not have an actual audience there to kind of feed off the energy. Or, well, you only had the one stream, so I don't know if you really know, because you were under a lot of stress back then. But
yeah, that's true. Like, at that point when we played that show, we already knew that it was kind of a disaster, or that people can't see it live, actually. Of course, luckily they saw it the next day. But I was not in a good mood when I was performing there. I'm quite sure it will be different now. It will be better. And if there are no technical problems, you have a much better feeling performing, being yourself. And I hope it will look and feel like it's the normal live. And that's why we kind of act like there would be people there. So we are showing the horns and doing this, and kind of, well, you have to kind of act that there is a crowd. Then you get into the mood. And you know there is a crowd all over the world watching, so you just have to pretend that you can see and feel them. And because normally, of course, you get so much energy from the audience, how they react to the songs, and that's the best thing in playing the live shows. And now you have to just imagine that. So, but I'm sure if there are no problems, it will be good, and we have a nice time.
one thing that I don't know if you personally watched any of those streaming concerts, but one thing that I've noticed is that a lot of bands start to play kind of heavier, maybe, in a way. Do you have any idea why that might be so?
I don't know. I think it's the Catatonia stream. It's the only one that I've been watching. They play in a kind of a studio environment, sort of. So it feels it's built so that it doesn't look like they would be playing in a club. It looks like they're playing in a studio. So it's a bit different. And but I haven't actually watched other streams and how the bands react there. And of course, you can build it in many ways. That it can look like it's a live show or studio environment or rehearsal place session. I know bands have been doing that kind of stuff, and maybe we do something like that in the future, kind of training camp thing, and then we film it and people can see what is going on. And that would be fun to do maybe next. Let's see.
Do you think it's because a lot of bands, they're also trying different things? Like for you, you read the Winterskate story to the fans, and that's something that bands, well, there was probably not much time left for those kinds of things. But do you think it's important in times like these to do these little extra things?
Well, yes, I think it's good to try to stay active in event ways how you can interact with the fans now that you can't actually go and meet them live. I'm quite sure that our fans appreciate that as well. We try our best. We organize these chat events or reading sessions or streams or whatever, and try to provide something interesting for those people who are so diehard fans that they are interested in our chat sessions or stuff like that. So I think it's important to try to find new creative ways how to do things. And yeah, I think it's important you try something and not just lie home and wait how the world will turn out.
Do you feel like this whole pandemic situation will change the way we do live music and how you connect with fans and stuff like that?
Nobody knows, but I'm quite sure that for quite some time the world will be different, and I don't know if it will ever get back to normal the way we have been used to, how the airlines and flights operate. Will it be difficult to just get from one country to another, or do you have to spend time in quarantine every time you go to a new country? Would make the touring kind of impossible. I don't know. I hope we get back to some kind of normal state soon, but nobody knows.
Do you miss touring a lot? Because I think you were supposed to be on tour right now as well.
Yeah, I think originally, we were supposed to be home now, but there was this North American tour and then Scandinavian tour, but that was only 1 week. So I think we would have been home now, but I would have been touring most of this spring if things had gone the way we planned them. But I do enjoy being home. I like my home. I like doing my stuff here, thinking about my stories and writing new music and being with my kids, of course. So I have no problem being home. But of course, playing those live shows, getting the energy from the fans and doing that stuff, of course, we miss that. So once it's possible to play some kind of live shows, even for 100 people, then I'm quite sure we will try that.
All right, I think our time is pretty much up, and I think I'm through my questions. Do you have any last words for the people out there watching this video and your fans?
Well, check out our live streams and chats and events, and let's see what we come up with in the future. And we definitely will come to play to all those places that we were supposed to be when it's possible again. And we definitely want to come to all over the world to play again. Let's see when that is possible.